Imagine this for a second. It's late at night, your backyard's totally quiet, your security camera's doing its thing, just watching. Pretty peaceful, right? Maybe a cat wanders by, but then, bam! The camera catches something totally bizarre, completely unexplainable. It just sends this, shiver down your spine and makes you question everything you thought you knew about what's out there in the dark. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into one of the internet's creepiest modern legends, the Fresno Nightcrawlers. We're talking about these two strange figures. They walk on two legs, but they look kind of like, well, people have said walking trousers.
Yeah, or just disembodied legs gliding along. It's a very striking image.
Exactly. They move across this lawn with this really weird fluidity, sort of swaying rhythmically. And the strangest part, no heads, no arms, no normal body parts you'd expect to see. Okay, so this all kicks off back in 2007, Fresno, California. A homeowner's motion-activated camera picks something up.
And the footage itself, it's exactly what you'd expect from back then. Grainy, black and white, low res.
Yeah, standard stuff. And from the left side of the screen, these two figures just appear. They're slender, pale-looking. They move pretty slowly across the lawn. And their look is just unique, these long, tapering legs. That's basically all you see.
Right, and there's no visible knee joint moving, no arms swinging for balance. It's just this unnerving, quiet glide. Effortless, almost.
It's so weird.
It really is. And what's interesting is how they move together, one a bit ahead of the other, but they don't seem to interact at all. Not with each other, not with the yard, not even the camera.
Like they're just completely unaware, or maybe they just don't care.
Could be. It's as if they're just passing through, oblivious.
And, well, that sheer strangeness, it made the video blow up on YouTube, absolutely viral.
Oh, instantly. UFO forums, paranormal sites, cryptid hunters, everyone was talking about it.
Even some mainstream news outlets picked it up just because it was so odd.
And just like that, you've got a modern cryptid legend, not from some old story, but from a security camera feed.
But it doesn't stop there, does it?
No, definitely not. That 2007 Fresno video is the famous one, for sure. But then, years later, other sightings started popping up. Alleged sightings, mind you. Notably, some footage reportedly came out of Yosemite National Park.
Right, I remember hearing about that one.
And it supposedly shows similar figures. Same sort of bipedal shape, same weird walk, no clear upper body. So, for people who believe this is real, that consistency is huge. Different times, different places. It makes the real phenomenon argument stronger for them.
Okay, so that's the setup. For our deep dive today, we're really going to unpack this whole Fresno Nightcrawlers conspiracy theory. It's pretty unsettling stuff. We'll look at why the believers think, normal explanations just don't work.
Yeah, like hoaxing or misidentification.
Exactly. And we'll explore the main theories. Are they aliens? Interdimensional beings? Some undiscovered creature? Or maybe even a government experiment gone wrong?
We'll have to look at the evidence people point to, what the debunkers say, and maybe try to figure out why this theory, this image, has such a grip on people.
It definitely taps into something. That sense of wonder, maybe a distrust of official stories, the feeling that, the real truth is hidden somewhere. Now, for most people looking at this, especially skeptics, the Fresno Nightcrawlers video gets dismissed pretty quickly. Hoax? Optical illusions, someone messing around.
That's the standard take, yeah.
But for the conspiracy believers, those explanations they don't feel right. They don't fully explain what they're seeing.
And that gap, that perceived failure of the mundane explanation, that's really where the conspiracy thinking takes root.
So what's the biggest sticking point for believers?
I'd say it's definitely the movement. That unusual gait, the smoothness of it, it just doesn't look like any person or animal we know how to identify. Humans bend their knees, right? We swing our arms. These things don't.
That glide.
Exactly, that fluid, effortless glide. It seems to almost defy basic physics, how we think walking works. Believers constantly ask, how could someone fake that so perfectly in a simple costume?
They point to the lack of, a head bobbing or arms moving or even fabric bunching up like you'd expect.
Right. How do they stay balanced without a torso or arms? It's a fair question if you take the footage at face value.
And then there's just the look of them. Totally featureless.
Yeah, no head, no eyes, no hands. Just these two long, tapering shapes.
Which makes it hard to say, oh, it's just an animal walking funny, or it's kids under a sheet.
Because even with low resolution, you'd think you'd see something more defined, right? A hint of a head, maybe? Believers argue you just don't.
And you mentioned the consistency earlier with the Yosemite video.
Yeah, that's a big one for proponents. Even if that footage is also blurry, It appears to show very similar creatures, same proportions, same weird walk. Their thinking is, okay, maybe one video's a hoax, but two independent sightings. That starts to look more like a pattern.
It makes them feel like it's not just a one-off prank.
Though you could argue the opposite too, couldn't you?
How so?
Well, once a video like the Fresno one goes viral, it's famous. Wouldn't that just inspire people to try and copy it?
Ah, okay. So the consistency might actually be evidence of hoaxing, just copycat hoaxes mimicking the original look.
It's possible. It cuts both ways.
Yeah.
Another point proponents make is how the figures seem totally oblivious. They move with purpose, but ignore the fence, the camera.
Like they're not interacting with our world in a normal way.
Exactly, which adds to that sort of ethereal, maybe even non-earthly vibe they give off.
You know, it really does give you that creepy feeling.
That's the uncanny valley effect people talk about. It looks almost human because it's walking on two legs, but it's so fundamentally wrong that it's just deeply unsettling.
It doesn't fit neatly into any box.
Not at all. And that strangeness, that resistance to easy explanation is powerful.
So because these normal explanations feel inadequate to believers, there's this void, this mystery.
And for the conspiracy-minded, that void gets filled by something extraordinary, something hidden.
Something they don't want us to know about. Okay, so if they're not hoaxes, what are the big theories? What are these things, according to the conspiracy?
Well, the core idea is that they're real, anomalous entities, and their existence is being covered up. But what they are, that's where the theories branch out.
Let's start with maybe the most popular one, aliens.
Yeah, the extraterrestrial or interdimensional angle is huge. One idea is they're literally aliens.
Yeah.
Biological beings from another planet, maybe scouts, maybe just a species built differently.
Their simple look could be like camouflage or designed for stealthy observation.
Could be. Or maybe they're not even biological aliens, but robotic probes, drones sent here for reconnaissance.
And that smooth glide, advanced alien tech, like anti-gravity.
That's often the suggestion, yeah. Some kind of super efficient, maybe silent locomotion technology far beyond ours.
And the cover-up rationale there.
Classic UFO cover-up theory, really. Governments know about aliens, maybe they're even in contact, but revealing it would cause mass panic, upend society, religion, power structures.
Plus, they'd want to keep any advanced tech or biological knowledge for themselves. Makes sense from that perspective.
Then there's the related but slightly different interdimensional theory.
Okay, how does that work?
This suggests they're not from another planet, but another reality. A parallel dimension, maybe a different vibrational frequency, bleeding through into ours.
Ah, so they're only partially here, which explains why they look sort of thin, ethereal, and maybe even two-dimensional.
Precisely. And why they move so strangely, they're not fully bound by our physical laws. They're like glitches.
And the security camera just happened to catch this glitch.
Maybe the camera's frequency, or the low light, somehow made them visible when they usually wouldn't be. The cover-up reason here. Similar, but maybe even more profound. Proving other dimensions exist would shatter our whole understanding of reality, science, everything. Powerful groups might want to control access to or knowledge of these other realms.
Okay, so aliens, interdimensional beings. What about theories closer to home?
Right. Not everyone jumps straight to outer space. Some think they could be an undiscovered terrestrial species. A cryptid.
Like Bigfoot or Nessie, but weirder.
Exactly. Maybe something that lives deep underground, in caves, or a highly specialized nocturnal creature we just haven't documented yet. Some even float ideas about undiscovered primates or relict hominids with a very strange way of walking.
And why cover that up?
Could be wanting to study it in secret, prevent panic, protect its habitat, or maybe it possesses some unique biology they want to exploit.
And then there's the maybe more chilling government experiment idea.
Yeah, this one taps into fears about secret military projects. The theory goes, the Nightcrawlers aren't natural or alien, they're made. Maybe advanced robots, bioengineered weapons, or genetically modified organisms cooked up in some black project, maybe by DARPA or someone similar.
So the sighting wasn't an accident, maybe it was a test. Or an escape.
Could be either. Their strange, perfect movement is seen as evidence of advanced secret tech or genetic manipulation.
And the cover-up there is pretty obvious.
Absolutely. Revealing that kind of project, exposing potentially illegal, unethical research, massive public outrage, loss of trust, international incidents. They'd have every reason to keep it quiet, especially if the creations are dangerous.
So regardless of what they are, alien, dimensional, cryptid, experiment, all these theories agree on one thing.
A cover-up. A conspiracy of silence.
Right. Believers see the quick dismissal by media and experts as proof of narrative control. They are shutting it down.
They point to the lack of any big official investigation. If it's such an easy hoax, they ask, why not just prove it definitively?
And anyone who takes it seriously gets ridiculed.
Which is seen as a tactic to discourage people from looking too closely or talking about it openly. And of course, the theory assumes any real evidence, better footage, footprints, samples would be immediately snapped up and hidden by the powers that be.
So the Nightcrawlers become more than just a weird video. They're like a symbol of suppressed truth, a challenge to the official reality.
A challenge that's being actively buried. That's the core of the conspiracy belief. Now, if you ask a believer why they believe, what's the evidence? It mostly circles back to that original video.
The visual weirdness of it.
Exactly. They argue, look, even though it's low quality, you don't see obvious strings. It doesn't look like bad CGI from 2007. It doesn't quite look like someone awkwardly shuffling in a costume.
That movement again. Too fluid, too strange for a simple fake.
That's the claim. And the lack of a head or arms is constantly brought up. How does it balance? How does it move like that?
And the way the legs meet the ground, it looks off. Not like normal feet making contact.
Right, suggesting something non-standard about its physical form, or maybe it's exploiting an optical effect.
And the Yosemite footage is key evidence for them too, right?
A crucial corroboration, in their view. Finding similar figures, similar gait in a different place years later, that makes it much harder to dismiss as just one person's prank in Fresno.
See? It's happening elsewhere too.
That's the argument. It builds a case against the one-off hoax idea.
And they feel the debunking explanations just fall short.
Pretty much. If it's a person in a costume, why no wrinkles at the knees? Why no head movement? How is it so smooth?
If it's kids in blankets, when they look different, when they stumble more.
These are the questions they raise. And the fact that there isn't one single universally agreed upon slam dunk debunking from scientists, well, that leaves the door open for believers.
It suggests maybe there is something genuinely weird about the footage that standard explanations can't quite capture.
And it fits perfectly into that cryptid category like Bigfoot footage. It's tantalizing but unproven visual evidence of something unknown.
Plus that gut feeling.
Yeah, don't underestimate the power of that creepy, unsettling, uncanny valley feeling. Proponents see that visceral reaction as your intuition telling you something is genuinely wrong and unnatural here.
Okay, but let's flip the coin. What about the mainstream skeptical view? The debunking arguments?
Overwhelmingly, the consensus among scientists, skeptics, video analysts is that it's almost certainly explainable through conventional means.
The number one explanation being?
A hoax. A deliberate fake. And honestly, it wouldn't be that hard to do. Think about it. Two people walking really close together under a sheet. Or maybe one person on stilts, cleverly hidden. Or just a well-designed costume, specifically made to look like the description.
And the low-resolution video is actually the hoaxer's best friend here.
Absolutely critical. It hides the seams, hides the details, hides the strings, hides the awkward movements. Blur, low light, black and white, it all helps sell the illusion.
Have people tried to recreate it?
Oh yeah, lots of recreations. Online show you can get a very similar effect with simple costumes and camera tricks, especially when you degrade the footage quality afterwards to match the original. That fluidity can just be careful walking under a sheet.
So it might just be our brains filling in the gaps because the quality is so bad.
Could be. Or just a straightforward optical illusion. The shadows, the angle, the motion blur from an old camera. All these things can distort shapes and make movement look weird.
And pareidolia, right? Seeing patterns that aren't there.
Exactly. Our brains are wired to see familiar shapes, like legs walking, in ambiguous blobs of light and shadow. We might impose that pattern even if it's something else entirely.
What about misidentification? Could it be something normal that just looks weird on camera?
It's floated sometimes, but maybe less likely given the distinct shape and movement. Some suggest small kids under sheets, maybe moving in tandem.
Or an animal?
Very unlikely for this specific look and gait.
Yeah.
While a bear can walk on hind legs, it doesn't look like that. But again, severe distortion from the camera could theoretically make something mundane look bizarre.
A really big point for debunkers, though, is the total lack of physical proof.
Huge point. Where are the footprints? These things look reasonably solid. Walking on a lawn, you'd expect tracks, but none were ever reported or found.
No hair, no droppings, no biological evidence whatsoever.
Nothing. And they don't seem to disturb the environment, like kicking up grass or brushing against anything. It all points towards something very light, or maybe not physically present in the way we assume. Which, if it's a hoax.
And why would someone hoax this?
Well, 2007 internet. Viral video fame was a huge motivator. Getting attention, maybe some ad money later, or just the thrill of pulling off a successful prank that fools lots of people.
Classic internet behavior.
Pretty much. And it's worth noting, the person who originally filmed it has never really been identified publicly or properly interviewed by investigators. That lack of clear provenance is always suspicious.
And the Yosemite video.
Same issues apply. Low resolution, easily faked, and very possibly just a copycat inspired by the now famous Fresno footage.
Okay, so there are pretty strong arguments for it being a hoax or illusion. Why does the conspiracy theory still have such legs, so to speak?
Well, first off, that uncanny valley thing is powerful. It feels wrong, it feels creepy on a gut level. That feeling demands a bigger explanation than just, it's fake.
People want to believe in mysteries.
Definitely. The idea that the world still holds secrets, that strange creatures or visitors might be out there, is just exciting. It makes life less boring, maybe. It feeds that desire for wonder.
And the distrust factor we mentioned.
Yeah, for people already suspicious of government or media, the quick dismissal is just more evidence of a cover-up. They expect anomalies to be suppressed, so when it happens, it confirms their worldview.
The ambiguity of the video itself keeps it alive too, right?
For sure. Because it's not crystal clear, you can project onto it. Believers can argue that debunking isn't definitive. Skeptics can say there's no real proof of anything strange. It leaves that space for interpretation.
It's kind of like a digital Rorschach test.
That's a great way to put it. And it really shows how the internet changed myth-making. We went from ancient folklore to viral videos generating these modern cryptids almost overnight.
And you mentioned our brains being wired for bipedal shapes.
Yeah, we're really good at spotting things that walk on two legs. So when we see something that walks on two legs but does it wrong, in a way that breaks our internal rules for how that should work, it creates this real mental itch, this cognitive dissonance. We need to figure it out, and if we can't, the mystery lingers.
So wrapping this up, the Fresno Nightcrawlers conspiracy theory basically takes this grainy, weird video and elevates it into this huge mystery. It says these aren't just glitches or fakes, but real entities, aliens, interdimensional things, cryptids, secret experiments, and someone is actively hiding the truth about them from us.
And while, skeptical analysis points pretty strongly towards hoaxing or maybe optical illusions helped by that low-res footage, the theory itself just won't die. It keeps fascinating people.
And its power seems to come from that visual ambiguity, that creepiness.
Yeah, and that deep-seated human desire for something more, something unknown lurking just out of sight, plus that pervasive feeling that maybe you're not being told the whole story.
So maybe next time you glance at your own security camera feed late at night, think about those shadows.
Are they just tricks of the light, branches moving, or maybe there's something else?
A fleeting glimpse of something truly out of the ordinary. That tiny possibility, that what if, is what keeps the Fresno Nightcrawlers gliding through the dark corners of our imagination.
Makes you wonder what else might be out there. Unseen, unacknowledged, maybe even hidden on purpose.